So after my last video, where I'm sure everybody watched, saw that this got on the dyno, made a whopping 321 rear wheel kilowatts. Suspicions on exhaust size causing back pressure. So you can see I'm measuring pressure there. That's temperature, but that's back pressure, which is between the engine and turbo. It's higher than it should be, and the suspicions are that it's building up here. So I'm going to check it. And we're going to check it by putting that there, making a new one of these, and just comparing. I can't measure them both at the same time, but I can repurpose that sensor to a post-turbo back pressure sensor. By putting that there, if the reading is still high, we know the problem's the exhaust. If the reading is lower than expected, this guy is the problem. And I don't think it's faulty, but it may mismatch the engine. There may be a relationship between the turbine and the compressor and the engine size that's causing some issues. That little guy there, not that it's going to focus, but that little guy there, it's going to give me the answer. So I'll rip that downpipe off and weld that on. So back pressure sensor is now connected up post-turbo, measuring here. I've taken it for a little spin just to see what it does, and I'm not measuring both at the same time, so that one's obviously disconnected. It's connected up here now, so I can only measure one. But if I give this a stab in second gear and it starts to build boost, I'm recording 7 pounds of back pressure from 3,000 RPM onwards from that point. That's too much. That's too much back pressure for that little RPM and this little boost and this little power. So something's wrong there. So I want to have a little sticky beak to see if that's collapsed for starters. There's nothing else in there that should be doing it, unless 3 is just really that restrictive. So that's the first check, and if that looks clear, then all I can do is go for a bigger exhaust. So we've seen that the 3-inch downpipe is restrictive, too restrictive. So it's time to do a 3.5. Got my pie cuts, got my stainless pens. Time to make a new downpipe. Heaps of clearance. centimetre at least. 2. Another 15mm off the chassis rail, touching the exhaust manifold, which is fine. I'm going to anchor it there anyway. Still got to finish off down there and work out the length, but looking alright. Alright, so here's the dump so far. Turbo side down to near the transmission. I've just tacked this V-band on, and I'm going to try and see if it goes in the hole. I haven't tried it yet, and if it doesn't fit through the gap, that's going to be quite upsetting. Right, will it fit? Yep. Oh yes. Alright. That was lucky. So I've put it in a spot where I should be able to get to the clamp and actually do up the bolt. Because there's not much room, as you would imagine. But that's looking pretty bloody good to me. I'll just nip that up. Now I'll try and hang the bottom section off it. So this is the bottom section I've just made. It's not complete. I still need to add a T-piece onto this, but that's going to come off the bottom of the dump, and it's just going to be an electric cutout down one side of the transmission, and off the T-piece, which will come off here, it's going to run down the other side of the transmission back to the standard single 3-inch exhaust. So I still need to do that transition piece, but if this fits, we're in a good position, I think. There it is. Can't see much. V-band is there. It does fit. It does clamp on. It's not touching anywhere. It's actually hanging off the turbo at the moment, so there's no other braces in there. Doesn't hit anywhere, and it's all just tack welded together. So once that's finished welded, should be pretty good. The rest of the exhaust is here. So all I need to do is do a blend transition into this pipe. So the 3-inch will come like that, and then the rest will dump out that way when I have the gate open. Not the gate, well, the electric sort of dump thing there. Awesome. There it is on the ground. Turbo end. V-band is here. And then dump. Looking pretty good. One questionable gap about here, but nothing some weld can't fill. There it is. Dump pipe in, all TIG welded up. Looking nice. Fits nice. Flange down the bottom's not happy. The V-band flange is warped, but we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so the V-band's there, but it's warped to shit. So I'm going to have to chop that off, and I'm going to try and just use a flat flange because I'm sick of V-bands. They just give me the shits. They always seem to warp no matter how much effort you put into preventing it. So that's coming off, but I need to wait for that. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to go onto this oil feed line. That's a 3/16 hard line, which is AN3. The turbo says that it should have AN4 to AN6. So I'm just going to change it. I don't think it's an issue, but I'm going to change it anyway. I've got the stuff, so I'm going to take that off. Maybe use a different plate. I haven't decided yet, but that's what's happening now. Right, so hard line from the turbo is off. I've just changed this fitting here from an AN3 to an AN4. It's just a 1/8 MPT thread, so that's easy enough to do. And now I'm just going to use one of these. So I just got to pick my angle, probably back up against the block like that. Put my hose in, run it up to the turbo, see where it sits, and chop it and crimp it. Well, not crimp it, but put the fitting on. Yeah, fun. Moving up to the oil feed up the top. I get to get rid of all of this shit now as well. So it's got like a little aluminium adapter plate and a gasket that always leaks, and this aluminium fitting that always turns orange. That's all going to come off. It's going to have a stainless threaded fitting straight into the turbo. There is a thread in the oil feed, so all that crap's coming off. A few less things there to break, and then I'll run the braided Teflon line down this way. Should be better. New feed, A&4, beautiful, unrestricted. Let's pop it back in the hole. That's done. And one nice new beanie. Much better fit than the other one. Looks heaps better too, so hopefully it does a good job. Alright, moving on to the next job. All wrapped and ready to go in. I'm just going to have to do a test install just to make sure I can actually get past this, because it's that tight, and that's sort of where the chassis rail is, so I'll have to make sure that goes through. I've just covered over the bungs. I'll just cut that out once it's in place, and the shield's over the top, because it'll all sort of hold together better once it's in. But, alright, time to do a test fit. All blacked, ready to go in, hopefully for the last time. Yeah, super duper tight. Just got to get the combination just right. Got to turn it in the right spot, twist it in the right spot, and it goes in. Geez, that went in easy that time. Got this all worked out. Done. Alright, I'll put this clamp on because it can be clamped up now. Then I'll put my heat shield back on. See how that looks, see how that fits with the wrap. Let's make sure that's turned the right spot. There. Done. It's all done and dusted now. I've made up this little heat shield. Well, I didn't really make it up. It's part of the car builder's kit. I just got some bigger clamps and bent it a little bit and put a couple of rivets in it, but all looking good. Plenty of room. It's all, yeah, all ready for testing. So I'm going to head out on the street now and just see if that dump pipe by itself has made any difference to the back pressure and the ability to make some boost. Back from my test drive. Everything's looking great. So I took the car out and I was able to make some boost. Not a lot of boost, but a lot more than in the same circumstances before. So with zero boost controller duty, I made 5 psi at 4,000 RPM. Previously, it'd go all the way to redline and make maybe 2 psi without boost controller. And I'd need to whack it up to 100% boost controller duty just to get 3.5. So the fact I'm getting 5 psi now proves that the problem is resolved. I've also gone through the logs, and at 5 psi, 4,000 RPM, there is 0.3 psi exhaust back pressure. So that's proven it. The exhaust is the problem. The exhaust is no longer the problem. We're ready to make some boost. We're ready to make some real numbers. So the next opportunity I get for the dyno will be at the end of the month. There'll be another video coming then, but we're there. We're ready to actually get some decent numbers out of it, and hopefully you'll stay tuned for the next video. Thanks very much.